foi a principal atração do último dia do NASA Live. Ontem houve um espectador muito especial que viu o festival através da tecnologia 5G. Veja agora a forma como estão a ser assinalados no Porto os 250 anos da morte de Nicolau Nasoni. Para celebrar a obra do arquiteto italiano, foi feita uma pisa com 7 metros.
Alright, what's up guys? So today we are going to be painting the EK cluster, RPM, speedo, temperature, and gas gauges. We're gonna paint it this color, yellow, sun yellow color, just like the Civic Type R's. It's usually championship yellow, but hey, I couldn't find an exact yellow paint from the Civic Type R's in Japan. Usually their clusters come with the yellow needles, and they're championship yellow. This was the closest color that I could find, championship yellow, in with the decent paint, Rust-Oleum, whatever. It's good for wood, metal, plastic, and so on for multi-purpose. It's gloss too, so it'll be shiny. So yeah, this is what you have to do if you don't want to pull out your needles, gauge cluster needles out, so you don't ruin the calibration or whatever. Some people say the needles could stop working or the calibration could break and then it won't work ever again. So this is the best way to do it safely. Of course, it's going to take some work and patience and so on forth. So what you're going to need is, you're definitely going to need one of these, right? Scotch tape or 3M Scotch blue tape. That will be very useful to do this, because you do not want to take the cluster apart as far as the needles, the gauge needles, because like I said, you could break it and then it won't work again, and that's not good, right, for anybody. So this is the best, safest way to paint your cluster needles. Right now, this is the regular EK manual EX cluster, like I showed you in the other video before I put the Scotch tape on. So it's regular manual, 120 miles an hour, 8,000 RPMs. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started and paint this thing. Obviously, you're not gonna want to paint too close, because maybe you could ruin it or whatever. So you want to paint as far back as possible and do it light coats, little by little, so the paint could blend in onto the needles. You know what I mean? The closer it is, the more you'll have drops of paint. You know what I'm saying? So the further you are, the easier it is to get it little by little paint, and it'll stick to the needle, and it won't wear out. The sun won't fade it. The sunlight or humidity, it won't fade it. So this is what I'm going to recommend right now at the moment. I'm gonna do a test hit to see what color it actually is before I go ahead and paint the needles of the gauge cluster. But this seems to be as close that I could find as far as championship yellow, which is sun yellow gloss. So it's got paint and primer at the same time, so that's not bad. I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up before, obviously you gotta shake it up. Alright. Okay, so obviously you want to do it in a ventilated area, like being outside. I'm not gonna do it inside the house, but being outside is probably your best bet. Let it be in the direct sunlight for a little bit so it can dry out, you know, a little bit faster for a couple of minutes. Not too much time on it. and we're gonna go ahead and test the paint and see how it is. It's a pretty decent, authentic, nearest possible, closest possible championship yellow color. So this is the paint we're gonna use, and we're gonna test it out now. Alright, as you can see, it's a pretty decent color, so that's what we're going to use regardless, because it's the only paint that I could find as close as possible to championship yellow, so this is the color we're going to use. So let's get started. Alrighty, and that's about it. I'm gonna give it a few minutes to let it dry up and see the results. Alright, so as you can see, it looks so much better. This is gonna be yellow. I got it on the sides as well, on the back, the side, the back, the side, and the back. And then obviously on the back of here, the back of the needles as well right there. You want to cover that with your paint, with your Scotch-Brite or whatever, 3M paint. But it came out pretty decent. Now taking out the tape is going to be the best part. I guess hopefully it came out good. There's no mismatched painting or any sight of white. I don't know if I should give it another coat. I might give it another coat. I don't even know if I should give it another coat. Wow, I'm gonna have to think about that. Okay, so I have decided I am going to give it another very, very, very light coat. Just because I'm stubborn like that, but I'm gonna give it one more little coat, just to be sure. And then I'm gonna do clear coat on top, so it stays, etc., etc., etc. So let's get started. Just one layer over of this. Awesome. I think that'll be so much better. I don't know if you guys can see or could tell on the video, but I think it'll be so much better now. And that's it for the yellow. And then we're gonna do clear coat on top. Let's go grab the clear coat. Alright, back at it again. So we are going to use the clear coat, which is custom premium lacquer paint. This is one of the most expensive brands, top of the line for spray paint cans. This was almost 20 bucks, believe it or not. It's expensive. But this is the gloss clear. This is good for metal, plastic, and fiberglass. Obviously it says here, it advertises dries 2 times faster, and etc., etc. So this is the clear coat we are going to use. So let's get started. So before we go ahead and get started, alright, let's go. I'm gonna do a test hit first. Hold on. Alright, it worked. think that's good enough for now, actually. So first coat of that is applied already. We are going to be adding another layer after this dries up. We're going to let it dry up a little bit, and then we'll go on to proceed to the next stage of clear coat. It's not the best of the best, but it's definitely going to get the job done. Alright, so this was like 10-15 minutes of drying. I probably shouldn't have added the second. Let's see if it's wet. It's not wet anymore, so we're going to add another layer of clear coat. And I think that's it for clear coat. And that's about it as far as that. I'm gonna let it dry. I'm gonna take out all the tape out. Alright, 1 second. Alright. So we're gonna start pulling out the tape and get it ready for our next stage of custom Civic Type R or whatever replica, right? So we're gonna do, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the cover. I might hydro dip it, but we're gonna do the Mugen style cover, which is silver. The back plate, the bezel, right? The cluster bezel. It's usually the Civic Type R is carbon fiber, right? Hydro dipped from factory. But we're gonna go ahead and get this ready. Take out the tape. Be advised, be very careful when taking the tape out. You don't want to rip the cluster or whatever. So we're just gonna take it little by little. Looks like we might have messed up. That's alright, we'll fix it up. There's always ways to fix it. But obviously it's not gonna be perfect. Great. We're gonna have to use like a cutter for that. Wow. Alright. Alright, you know what? I'm not even gonna record it taking it out. I'm gonna take this out because I can't record and take this out at the same time. But I'm gonna have to use like a cutter to take out the rest of that paint on the side, so it'll come off. Okay, so to not bullshit anybody, this was the aftermath. Obviously it has some tape still glued onto the needles. We're gonna use a cutter. We're just gonna slowly take it out. Obviously it's not gonna be perfect. I guess I didn't do a good job with the tape. I should have double layered the tape. So based on my experience and first time doing this, and nobody ever doing something like this on YouTube, showing how to get it done correctly and safely, of course, because otherwise I would have just took out the needles and none of this would have happened. But this was the safest way to do it. It doesn't look bad. As soon as I clean it up, I'll just use alcohol, take out that paint, and this little paint right here. Alcohol will do the trick, taking out the paint and cleaning it up a little bit, obviously getting the corner, the edges. If some of the paint doesn't come off, I'll just use a permanent black marker. If the yellow paint of the tape, because that's like tape mixed with yellow paint, if it doesn't come off, I'll just use a permanent marker to get that straightened out. So far it actually looks pretty decent. Wow. But as soon as I clean it up, it's gonna be much better. It's gonna be more cleaner and much better. Obviously I should have double layered the tape, but that will take more than a half hour, so you don't mess the needles up, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and do that. So get yourself one of these and just like clean it up, you know what I mean? Try not to scratch anything. Do it on a flat. And then on the gauges, we'll use alcohol to clean any little built up spray paint on the gauges. And then we'll use like a cleanup to make sure, you know, everything's good. I'm gonna get new cluster faces anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But for now, I want to rock around. You know, I want to do a video, see how the car, you know, see how the gauges and the the needles work before I put new faces on it, and then having to take it out if the needles don't work. So, all right, guys. So I am officially done. It is not the most perfect job. But eventually I will have to order like a similar color nail polish just to give it like a perfection, super perfect for black and yellow nail polish. As far as the paint on the RPM gauge, I just use a Sharpie, a regular pointy Sharpie, fine point permanent marker, and just gave it a little whatever there was leftover paint from bad tape masking on the cluster. I thought it had it real good. I guess not, but this is the final touch, final product. I like it. It is barely noticeable, but I can't complain because, you know, it was my first time. It was an experience. Nobody's ever done it before. I was the only one on that I'm going to post up on YouTube now with doing it with the spray paint. So you just have to take like extra precaution when spray painting it yourself. So based on my experience, you guys saw what happened. Just try your best. If you're gonna spray paint it and not take out the, you know, gauge needles out so you will mess up the calibration, my recommendation is, from my experience, is to double tape it. But do it very carefully and done correct so the paint doesn't drip through the hole. So you got to make sure when you're putting the tape, make sure there's no holes between where you tape over the other tape. So just make sure you know, squeeze it down, you know what I'm saying? So that there's no holes where the liquid paint could just, you know, follow the hole and then it gets on the cluster, you know what I'm saying? But now to be able to perfect the needles, now you're gonna need black nail polish and yellow nail polish to get every little bit of, you know, imperfections to perfect it. You're gonna have to get every little bit. So you need black and yellow nail polish. I'm gonna order that today, but I'm gonna go ahead and install it just to see if the needles are all right. And if they work, then I guess it was a success as far as masking the cluster, face, bezel, and using spray paint without messing up the calibration of the speedometer, RPMs, the temp gauge, and the gas gauge. So we're gonna have to test it out regardless, see if it works, see if I messed anything up, because obviously I was going like this. But from the looks of it, it's still good. The gas gauge is a little hard, so I'm assuming that's normal. But it seems like it's good, but I'm gonna go ahead and test it out. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like it, or could I have done a better job? Should I have taken out the cluster needles and mess up the calibration and maybe mess up the whole cluster and it'd be useless? What do you guys think? Did I do a good job? Did I do a bad job? Should I be disliked for doing a bad job? You know what I mean? Let me know in the comments section if you liked it. Obviously, leave a like, and if you you know, want to subscribe, go right ahead. I do random shit like this sometimes. But yes, thank you for watching. Oh, and before I go, I'm going to install this just to show you guys. I'll do a daytime video and a nighttime video. I have LEDs for this cluster as well. Red LEDs. So I'm going to install that as well. All right, thank you, and until then. guys, so the cluster is installed. Let's get this started.